in order to understand this further, if somebody's interested in this subject, probably the best book, I think, on the subject is called, it's a classic called Cosmic Consciousness by Richard Maurice Bucke, B-U-C-K-E. So as I discussed, Uranus is the planet that represents this profound level of spiritual awakening. And again, there's so much misinformation on the internet. This is not about like, aha, I'm so spiritual. Oh, I had this incredible idea or revelation. No, this is an experience that would literally force the consciousness of the being out of the limits of the physical body into literally what would be called or experienced as the cosmos, cosmic consciousness, the infinity and infinite realms beyond Saturn, beyond the physical. Because this experience is, I would say, beyond profound, what happens to the individual after this initial profound awakening is they literally find themselves, let's say, walking or moving in two different realms, 1 foot here and 1 foot in the supernatural realm, we could say. And through the experience, they realize that they are much more than this ego identity, this little self that they took themselves to be. And this is where Neptune comes in next as the great dissolver, because Neptune is going to dissolve and wipe away the sense of the ego, what the person had taken themselves to be. And this can be extremely shattering. Shattering because the ego no longer has anything to really hold on to, realizing that it's not what it took itself to be. I love Noel Till's expression of Neptune as other than it seems. Now, in this process of ego death, we could say, the individual is usually thrust into a period of great despair. This is always referred to as a period called the dark night of the soul. And that transitional period can last for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 15 years. It just depends on each individual. Basically, how long they're still going to hold on to the false identity of the ego, and at what point they're going to surrender everything to this higher power. And this is why Neptune has so much relevance to surrender and sacrificing and things like this. Also, during this period, the individual usually goes into some form of retreat from the world because they no longer identify with themselves in the outer world. So it also involves loneliness and isolation, other traits of Neptune. And as well, they have a heightened sensitivity, and this is also where Neptune comes in as the archetype of the mystic, because now, through this awakening, they're able to see things that are beyond the two physical eyes, and even hear things that are beyond the ears. And so this heightened sensitivity allows them to see the spiritual realm through other senses, we could say. A sixth sense that we all have. The intuition would be heightened as well. So this is part of what Neptune's job is to do. It's to dissolve away the false sense of ego. It's what we call an ego death. And to really strip everything from that individual. Everything that relates to its attachments and desires in the physical world. And this is very purposeful why this is happening. So I'll finish this part here. Thank you for listening and move on to the next part.